just a couple bad weather fans representing New York, talking all things sports. Man, what could go wrong? We got Alex, who's a fan of the Knicks, and Mike of the Nets. The yin-yang of the tri-state, place your bets on the Yankees, Giants, Mets, or Jets. Yeah, you should listen if they're sparking your interest. If you made a vow to your team, don't break it. Bad weather fans is the relation.
That's right, this is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 187. Mike Biseglia, Alex Benesowitz, and we are presented by DraftKings, the only Nets and Knicks and Nets centered podcast where we break down New York basketball. I'm the Nets fan, Alex is the Knicks fan, and if you're at episode 187, you probably know that by now. Alex, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. It's a very tiring morning here in New York City. It's Tuesday when we're recording this morning, and on the 18th, just so you know. And it's great, man. Like maybe Julius Randle's on his way out the door. We don't know, you know. So I'm kind of like, hey, maybe there's a little, the door was closed, and now maybe there's a little slither of hope where with him leaving CAA and joining WME. Entered in the WME Sports, where his agent left CAA and went to WME. And as everybody knows, Leon Rose is an ex-CAA king, and he runs the Knicks. So read between the lines if you'd like.
Did people get excited for you? Or I should say it
for
like
me,
that.
Yes,
Yeah.
Everybody gets excited for me. Anything
Did
I
people,
say, people jump down my throats, man.
Did people get? do people agree with this idea? Or I mean, you're looking for any glimmer of hope.
Yeah, I'm not serious.
I mean, come on.
But it's listen, I hate the agency game because it usually means nothing. You know what I mean? But with Leon Rose and the Knicks, it's clearly means something. I mean, Tibbs is a CAA guy, Randle was a CAA guy, Leon Rose is a CAA guy. These guys are untouchable on the team. So it's just, and I don't have a list of every Knicks player that's CAA, but it's obviously more than them. And excuse me. And it's just been very frustrating as a fan to watch Randle be untouchable and Tibbs, treat Randle a certain way. And it's hard to not read between the lines there. And also when you rewind to the Woj pod, I bring it up on this podcast all the time, as maybe as much as the Victor Cruz play on the Giants and versus the Jets. And I feel like him at the Woj pod a couple of years ago when Julius Randle was on it saying, I need this, I need that. And I went to a restaurant with Leon Rose, Worldwide West, Alfred Payton, a couple other people. And then all of a sudden Leon Rose pitched the idea to Dolan and he got the job. So Leon Rose owes his job to Julius Randle, but maybe this is the turncoat moment where it's like you left my agency, which he is not running anymore, but like you left or working there as a high value agent, yeah, like whatever the term is,
yeah,
at CAA, and that's his baby, and you left them for a guy that left CAA to another agency that's clearly a rival agency. It's hard not to think like there's something there. I don't know that I'm not in the building, and I don't know. Maybe it's like, all right, listen, this guy left on good terms, and that's your guy who is your specific agent at the agency. God bless, go do your thing. I don't know.
I mean.
It's not nothing. That's all.
It's definitely not nothing. I mean, it's something there that maybe down the line can lead to that. And I understand your hopes and dreams of Julius Randle no longer being on the New York Knicks because that has happened. But I'd also say at this point in the season, outside of Damian Lillard being dealt, and I'm not saying that to be a conspiracy theorist. I'm just saying realistically, Julius Randle's on the Knicks this year. There's no other options for him to not be, even if this does change things. I think it's something for you where you look forward to maybe down the road that means he's not ultimately going to be a Knick forever. And, it's the year 2032. Well, let's go a little further down the line. It's the year 2036. And, everybody's going back to the Garden and it's retired Julius Randle jersey night and everybody's celebrating that win versus the Atlanta Hawks, and the crowd's going crazy and, you're there, you're with your son and you're with other family and other people are there and you're saying that night in 2020, there's nothing like the Garden, and you're celebrating Julius Randle night based on that one win. Maybe now you have a little bit of hope that down the line, maybe next year there's a trade. Maybe it doesn't mean Julius Randle night's going to happen at the Garden in 2036. I could see that. I could see a little bit of hope in that regard. Again, getting into the minutia of what does it mean for his future, immediately nothing, but I respect it if you're getting a little bit of hope there. I know how much your fan base gets annoyed at Julius, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, his numbers drastically are down from the regular season to the playoffs. I mean, people try to blame the injury, but there was no injury in the Hawks series, which is behind me right now in my screenshot. Not a screenshot, it was an actual picture. But there's also with the Dame stuff, like Mark Spears put out yesterday, 2 hours after it was announced Randle changed agencies, that there's a mystery Eastern Conference team that's out there now, and is it the Knicks? It's just it's one of those things you don't know, man, and you always joke about it, and you just never know. And this Dame stuff has been going on so long, and now the reports are that the Blazers are done trying to trade him, which is obviously bullshit. It's just they're trying. Everybody's trying to get an edge. You know what I mean? It's negotiations. You're trying to get an edge. You're trying to get leverage. You're trying to just manipulate the media to your advantage. You're trying to do anything you can to get anything. And I looked up on the trade machine, and it's not going to be this simple, but what works is Randle and Fournier for Dame works on salary wise, but obviously you would need picks and you would need other teams and make it worthwhile talent. Yes. Thank you for the Blazers to make a deal, but at least on the for the Knicks to absorb Dame's contract, which is absurd. A super duper max is that's all it would take to get him on fit him into the roster.
I mean Evan Fournier becomes a good asset in that front because of his expiring deal and how much money that he does make. Or is it expiring for Evan Fournier?
It isn't expiring.
So I mean, for that front, that helps the Knicks. And I just want this Damian Lillard trade to happen so I can have some ideas and realistic viewpoints of who's in the East, where is he, and you can formulate an opinion. I could only imagine how the other teams around the league field. It's got to get super duper frustrating when you just don't know, and he is in limbo. Now, he's the one that requested the trade, so he created his own limbo. He did sign a contract with the Blazers and then said, I want out of here. And, good for Portland for holding pat and not saying we're just doing this to do this. And why not let it drag out? I mean, they got nothing else to do. Obviously, they're busy. They're running a basketball organization. It's not like they're just like, hey, let me listen to bad weather fans to get insight on what we should do with Damian Lillard. But it's not like they needed to trade him this second. It's not the deadline. We've seen what happens, right? When the Nets had James Harden at the deadline, they had to make the deal. Durant and so forth at the deadlines. Kyrie Irving, my God, there's a lot of guys to list. They had to make the deals. But Damian Lillard, there's nothing happening. It's the summer. Everything's cruising and chilling. So they'll wait. They'll play it out. And like I said, as fans, it's frustrating because you want to see the trade. You want to see what happens. And even if it's not your team, I mean, remember the Nets? There was all this speculation initially that Tyler Hero would go to the Nets in this trade.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a huge, like the deal or not, from a net perspective, that changes the whole dynamic of how you view the season and the roster and everything when you're adding a guy that scored 20 points per game onto your team. And then 2.5 months later, you almost just forget about it. It's a very strange situation.
Yeah, that's the thing with these NBA teams and these NBA trades. There's a guy, like, it's not just one guy, and it's like it affects so many people, so many families, so many teams, so many organizations, and around the NBA. Like, when these guys are paid this much money, and it's great, get your money. I'm not saying it in that regard. When they're paid this much money just because there's a salary cap, it affects so many lives. Like, I remember the Melo trade when it was like so many people involved in this trade, and like, you just have some random guy at the end of the bench of the Nuggets, and you're just like, well, you know what? You're getting dealt to another team. It's like, what did I do? Like, nothing. Melo wanted to be traded. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, you were fine. We liked you, but you know what? You're an asset. And people don't like to be referred to as assets, but they are. And it's a business, and they're players, and they're people, and they have contracts. And when you're in the NBA, you're a player and you're a person. That's not diminishing that, but you're a trade asset. You're a person that can make a deal go for another player, and the object is to win. Most teams want to win, a championship, not just be very good. And the object is to do that. And maybe, the mystery team is the Nets. You never know. Maybe the Nets are sneaking in there at the last minute trying to get it. And maybe the Knicks the Blazers are doing what the Knicks did with Melo, and was like, when he had the no trade clause and they had this trade set for the Thunder, and they said, okay, we'll come to camp, and the Knicks called his bluff, and then he's like, fine, I'll go to the Thunder. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And they got a pick for that turned into Mitchell Robinson. So maybe the Blazers are doing the same thing.
I just hope that if there is a deal, just do a few days after this podcast so it doesn't become dated extremely fast. I'm just not in the mood for
2
that.
hours, Dame is a net. You know what I mean?
Publish. Did it? Podcast up. Damian Lillard traded. Emergency podcast.
Now we got to work. Yeah, we got to record tomorrow now, and our wives hate us. Yes, no, I get it.
No, stop with that. I did want to mention, by the way, that I had the P watch.
The P watch.
You heard it go off, but I stopped it. I was prepared this time.
Good.
So hopefully, you do not hear the P watch in the background.
No, I did not hear it. But thank you for telling everybody.
I do love the obsession now Knicks fans have with Mikal Bridges, and how thirsty they are for him to be on the Knicks. Boy,
I think it's a lot of jokes because Josh Hart is saying it too. He's joking around on Twitter and stuff like that. And
right. No, I know.
They have so many Villanova players now, and they just brought back Ryan Arcidiano, or maybe I pronounced that right. That was tough. But they brought him back, and he was a nobody. He was nobody. He was a guy at the end of the bench, and they signed him to Exhibit 10 deal, I think, one of those. And it's not like he's really on the team, but you got Hart, you got Brunson, you got DiVincenzo now, and it's just like you might as well get Bridges. He's the last guy. How do you not put that together? The Nova Knicks have taken over the CAA Knicks. You know what I mean?
Just get that whole entire roster from when they won the championship and see if they can be the first sports team to ever win at the collegiate level and then at the pro level, and just see if that happens. And at that point, you can take Mikal Bridges, and I will watch the Knicks have the worst dog shit bench in the history of the league. But
can we just get the coach? Can we just get Jay Wright over here? I mean, that would be a lot better.
It is kind of it is nice though to see the love that the Knicks fans have for Mikal Bridges and how much they just respect him.
Mm-hmm.
And they just do not dislike him. It is very odd from the old Nets, and I say that from a couple years ago, where, you just like Durant, Irving, Harden, and now you got Mikal Bridges, and it's just like, wow, this guy is great. I mean, the love fest from the Knicks fan to Mikal Bridges is out of control.
Well, he's not the prototypical NBA player that people hate, that demands trades, overpaid, doesn't share books that the Holocaust didn't happen. Is just like a lot there? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's just a regular good player that's young, that was in Phoenix. He's not like somebody who's on the Pacers or the Heat. You know what I mean? It's just like, hey, man, this guy's good, and it's only been a half a season. Give it some time, maybe, and maybe there'll be a hate developed for him over time if
he beats the shit out of your team.
Yeah, something like
fucking great.
The Bridges drops 50 on the Knicks, and early next season, then I don't know if the love will be there so much, but I don't know. It's just I think I don't know what it is, but he seems just like a good guy, and those Villanova things. It's obviously a lot of it's jokes, but because the Nets are never making trades with the Knicks, nothing of substantial. Maybe it ended the bench trade, but nobody's making any trades, at this point. The rivalry, they say it's not a rivalry, but it is, especially in the market. It's not happening. It's just never going to happen.
I mean, I got so much shit last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever we did it, when I forgot to mention him initially in the most improved player idea. Boy, Net fans were texting me and DMing me, Biseglia, get your shit together. How could you forget that? And they're right. As I alluded to before, he did score 26 a game in the second half of the Nets, and they're going to expect that. They're going to need that. And he was he was up there, Team USA's best player, especially. I mean, they weren't winning games,
The fourth
but
place Team
the
USA
fourth place
best player.
USA team. I mean, he was fantastic for them, and the Nets are going to need more of that if they're going to want to ascend in the Eastern Conference and see where they go. And I know you put a poll question out, Alex, that was referencing for this week's episode, which is in regards to the Nets and Knicks, which of course is the core of the show and is about who will have the better season upcoming, Nets or Knicks. And I'll let you take it away with the poll question.
So, Mike, who do you think won, by the way?
I think the Knicks won 2 fronts. They're probably, I mean, they're projected to have a better year.
Yeah.
And the majority of your followers are Knicks fans.
Right. And yes, it was overwhelming. 71% Knicks, 29% Nets.
That's not bad. Yeah. I actually thought it'd be worse.
Yeah, I mean, I should have put it out longer, and I should have tried to get, people to Nets fans commented on it and stuff like that, and even some of the Nets fans even said like it's probably the Knicks, you know what I mean? And like that's respectable, because it's just like you don't expect every team. So there's so many like homers that you don't expect there to be like, actual real answers from fans.
Vice versa. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think any logical Knicks fan in the last couple of years before this season would have said who's going to have the better year.
Right.
You would have said the Nets over the Knicks. This is not you can still dislike the other team, but have common sense of where projections are. It doesn't mean you'll be right, but this whole idea, when if you're going to go out there and be like, well, I think the Knicks are going to have a better year than the Nets, Kyrie Irving and Durant suck. It's like, okay.
Yeah, like, well, you're not giving me anything here. Yeah, right. No, I get it. Like,
no, and I quote tweeted you and said the Nets have a higher ceiling, and I was having a little fun with it,
right?
Because I didn't want to just give a boring answer, to be honest, where I'm like, well, the Knicks, but I mean, on paper, the Knicks should have a better season coming up. They've got continuity coming back. I think the loss of Obi Toppin is not a big deal at all. I mean that the guy didn't play. So I wouldn't look at it. It would be more of the fearfulness of what he does in Indiana. But from a Knicks perspective, he didn't really do much. I mean, he didn't really play. Like, he played 8 to 10 minutes a game. You're losing.
The upside was there. The what if, kind of
right. But even if you brought, even if he was here, he wasn't going to get minutes. So it doesn't matter. You added another shooter and DiVincenzo. So I like that. I think that adds to the Knicks, which is something they lacked a little bit in their second round matchup versus the Heat. They could have used somebody to stretch the floor and make some shots. I think that would have been a big deal. I think with the Eastern Conference, it's so wide open and up in the air now with a lot of good teams, but you don't know where the chips will fall. For example, last year, if I said to you, hey, Alex, do you think the Knicks can be, a top 5 team? This is a team that can get to the second round. You would have said no way in hell. And I'd say, but look at the Hawks. They added Murray. You've got Miami. You've got Milwaukee. You've got Boston. You've got Philly. I think if you're looking from a net side and a net angle of it is the volatility of the Eastern Conference and the hope of the rising of the ceiling from this team, that's where you have to give yourself some belief. Now, am I going to go sit here and say it's going to happen? I don't think so. But if you're going to have to sell the team on something, it's that they get better, that they improve internally, and that Ben Simmons somehow becomes himself again or some form of it. Then, okay, here we go. I mean, and to the long short, to get back to your answer, the only way the Nets, I mean, everything has to break right for the Nets to be better than the Knicks. Bridges has to keep getting better. Nick Claxton has to keep getting better. Cameron Johnson needs to keep getting better. They need to figure out what is happening with Cam Thomas. Is he a part of this rotation? How can they utilize him? And Ben Simmons gets back to some form of himself. Okay, for all that break, sure. Especially the Ben Simmons part. If you're saying you're adding an all NBA point guard, well, that's what the Knicks did last year. It changes how you view the Nets dramatically. And then I would say, okay, if Ben's great, okay. But the problem is, and I don't want to make a whole Ben conversation, but this is what Net fans do to themselves. And I'm doing it to myself a little bit too, is it's the off season. There's hope. There's this feeling of, well, at least there's a chance. And then you get your hopes up for what Ben Simmons could be again. But realistically, and I want to be proven wrong. I'm not a hater. Like, he sucks. He can't be good. I'm just going on a track record of what I've seen for the last couple of years. I tend to believe it's going to go in the negative direction, but man, I'm hopeful just like everybody else.
And honestly, Ben Simmons might be holding up the entire Nets franchise, because if he is, a tenth of himself, you know what I mean? And let's say he's just giving you 10, 6, and 5, and he's got that contract, you could be in the Dame talks very easily and use him. But the Blazers are looking at it like, we don't want this fucking guy. You know what I mean? It's not even like Fournier, who's an expiring contract where you just deal with him for a year and then he's gone, or you can use him and unload him somewhere else to the Thunder and get a pick or something. It's like, it's crazy how much he's holding up the franchise. But if you got like 10, 6, and 5 from him and he's a backup point guard that's 6'10", you'd be happy with that because you're getting something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Getting 0 across the board and just a guy who's sitting on the bench in these like, weird outfits is just one of those situations where it's wild how he's has hurt the franchise. But you can always just trade for James Harden again if you really wanted to, and go through that messing.
That's another team with the Sixers.
Yeah, with Harden, it's just another player that's out there that can change the entire NBA again because of his contract size.
I know. I mean, that's the league. Yeah. That's the league.
Yeah. It is.
But it's you respect the teams more. I think they're kind of fighting back a little bit, and I think Damian Lillard's situation is very different from James Harden. Damian Lillard's been in Portland his entire career.
He gave him everything.
He's given him everything. He's had a great relationship with the fans. It's not as if he's a mercenary, and James Harden, that's been with the Sixers for a year and a half, is now jumped from the Rockets to the Nets to the Sixers. And clearly James Harden is about one thing, and that's James Harden. I would say Damian Lillard is not that at all. So it's a very
he wants to
different.
Win. He wants to win.
It's a very different situation. But I give credit to the Sixers too for, at least in the interim, being like, we're not just trading you because you want out of here. And that's the difficult part for the Sixer organization, is how fast you have to change and pivot how you want to view your franchise. The Sixers built this on, we've got Harden, we've got Embiid, and that's where we're going to go. But if Harden's done, it's not just like, okay, who do we put around Embiid now? It's, what is that the impact on top 3 player in the league, top 4 player in the league? How do we change that? And it just derails your plans.
Yeah.
And I'll give the Nets credit. They've been very good at changing on the fly when said guy doesn't want to be there anymore. They have had no choice, but I mean,
they've experience with this.
They have Sean Marks could do lectures on when your superstar players leave, what you do. And I know people listening to this will be, he's the reason why he fucked it up. He didn't give them what they wanted.
He gave him everything. What else does he have to give?
maybe partially to blame, but man,
come on.
Just how you pivot and change that. Sixers holding fast, but landscape of the league, man, holding in the balance as we wait, and we just wait.
Yeah, and it's really funny how the world revolves around this stuff. But I just want to read one thing from the poll question. So your response was, the Nets ceiling is higher, to who has a better season, the Knicks or the Nets. To Andrew D at Andrew World 88 said, it's true. The Barclays Center does have higher ceilings than MSG.
I guess it does technically. Maybe
does it really?
I think so. I think it does a little bit. If I don't know. I don't know exactly.
Let's go measure.
Take out my tape measure and get on 500 ladders and figure it out.
I bet Coonies knows. I bet you he's going to message us and be like, hey, it is, you idiots, like kind of a thing. But so you want me to read a couple of responses? So
yeah, let's hear them.
Okay, so we got Nets, a Nets response. Fireside Nets, our boy Spen Harris, who's been on the show, filled in for me once. Great guy. He goes, Mikhail, Ben, and Clax proved to be a ridiculous defensive trio together and stifle opposing offenses. So he didn't tell me who he voted for, but I'm guessing the Nets with that response. We got Nets Link. He said, probably the Knicks. Brunson is all-star caliber as well as Randle. Barrett stepped up his game last year. They stayed pretty healthy for the most part and continuity. I'd love the Nets to prove me wrong, though. Depends on if Claxton can take another leap and if Ben is back. So I was saying the same thing. Let's go 2 more Nets comments. He goes, CJ is at, he or she at Syrian J Sports. Knicks, and I'm a Nets fan. Nets will be plucky underdogs, and I think it'll be an enjoyable season, but we're not as talented as the Knicks. Add a star, and it's a different story. I think you can say add a star, and it's a different story to every single team in the NBA. One more, we have our guy, Adam, who also was on the show, Adam Orecchio, with doing the trivia. He goes, Knicks, and he's a big Nets and Knicks hater, Nets fan and Knicks hater. He goes, Knicks IMO clearly took a step forward last year while the Nets took a step back. Only way that changes is a Ben Simmons resurgence. So it's pretty much the theme is Ben Simmons on this, on the Nets podcast side, the Nets fan side, I should say, not podcast side, Nets fans on this podcast. And then, so let's do a couple Knicks responses. We have Eater C, another one of our guys that was on the podcast at VKE Cali. He goes, Knicks. If Brunson has a bad game, RJ Quick and even Randle can take over. If Mikal is having a bad game or stretch, is Simmons or Clax taking over? Well,
Good point.
I mean, it's a good point. I mean, Cam Johnson, but it's a good point.
The Nets lack scoring.
Mm.
The Nets
And
lack
depth.
guys that
Yeah.
can score. That's why I like the idea of adding Tyler Hero.
Mhm.
Say what you want about him, but he can get buckets, and that's what the Nets don't have. They don't have guys that can score the basketball.
It's
And
true.
when they go cold, I mean, it's so frustrating too because they had that
Mhm.
so well. But anyway, yeah, no, I agree. It's a good point.
So we have Sai at Saeed _ Skywalker. He goes, Knicks, better roster top to bottom. Raymond Reddington at his _name _ is king. Knicks due to continuity. However, Ben Simmons is an outlier. If he comes back remotely, 3/4 of the player he was in Philly. BK has their point guard and wing players to boot to make things interesting. But from a total team standpoint, it's the Knicks by an edge. So basically the theme is, and people do, even Nets fans think the Knicks have the better team because, they've been around and together for a long time, but
Yeah.
you never know. Like the Nets got thrown together, had a crazy year, whirlwind of a season last year. Last 2 years have been nuts for the Nets and the Nets roster and the fans, that it's hard to think what they're going to be. And like you said, this also can change in a couple of hours. We don't know. So like if these trades that are out there, the Knicks or the Nets can jump in as a third or fourth team, even if they don't get Dame or Harden, both teams, they can come in and just snatch a Tyler Herro, snatch somebody else on either team, the Blazers, or just the third or fourth team that just wants to get involved and get some picks. We never know. There's the mystery team. Just be careful. The mystery team, as per Mark Spears, that's out there.
Charlotte.
Is it Charlotte? But it's not a mystery because it was out there that Charlotte was interested. So
Are you serious? I just made that up.
No, I'm serious. I saw a Charlotte thing where it's
Why
like
would
they want
Dame want to go to
and
Charlotte?
and LaMelo. I don't know. I don't think he would. I'm just.
I was
saying,
just
like,
making that up. I didn't know that was I was just like, who in the East has no chance to win next year? Charlotte. Just jumped in
I'm
my
serious.
head.
I saw something. Maybe it was a joke, but I saw something, or you never know now with you could be getting ball sacked. Who knows? But I thought it was a Charlotte like a
Really?
legitimate thing. I can look up in a second, but I just wanted to read one more. I think he's a Nets fan. His name is Fire Cashman 100 emoji at DC23VC117. Brooklyn, because the ceiling is much higher, and Randle and Barrett are trending downward. So we'll see about that. But let's see if I can find say something while I look for this Charlotte thing.
Well, I was just totally joking when I was referencing that. That was in no way indicative of what I was, actually thinking. And the Nets bench, I just wanted to mention this, is going to be very different this year. No Joe Harris, no Seth Curry, no Patty Mills. They have a very different look that they will, led by Lonnie Walker. Nets are going to have a different vibe, and I think we'll take a little bit of time before kind of learn all of this, but it will be weird. It's just funny when you have three of the best, and Patty wasn't great at the end of it, but three of the better 3-point shooters in the history of the league that were all dead weight on the Nets, and they pivoted. I've used a lot of pivot today, and I got to get away from that. I don't like that.
You don't like pivot?
Nah, cliche.
Uh-huh.
They're all gone. It's gonna be weird.
So yeah, I don't know. I might have just read it somewhere. I can't find it, so it might not have been real. But I thought I saw something. I thought there was some smoke with that, but maybe not.
Dame Lillard to the Panthers. What? It's good. This we'll I do want to reference this. So NBA TV is doing 30 teams in 30 days, and what they're doing is they're just highlighting each team, and then they're doing some components of their franchise and their history. So the Nets won, and I don't know what day. Maybe this is airing today. I don't even know, but they have a schedule and they put things together. Here's what you can see: the 2003 NBA Finals Game 4, Nets Spurs. Okay,
Great.
Nets won that game. They lost the series, but at least they win the game.
Hey, it's a finals game. It's fun to watch,
and they won.
Yeah.
Then at 12 p.m., this is the one I can't believe this. Clippers versus Nets, February 6th, 2023. The Cam Thomas 47-point game.
And they lost.
And they lost in the history of their franchise. How is that on this schedule?
Like, and you can
get
a recent game also of Mikal Bridges having a big game or something and winning. To me, and like, just make something up. Yeah.
That's what they're trying to do, a recent game. But you don't put a loss in there.
Yeah.
And then the game,
a Cam Thomas game, like a Cam Thomas win with the 50 points or whatever he scored.
But Alex, in the history of the franchise, you don't have Nets Pacers game 5, double overtime, Reggie Miller half court shot game. Like, that's a great game. Nets Celtics 2002 clinched to go to their first ever NBA
go back
finals.
Even further. Go to a Dr. J ABA game or a Bernard King Nets game. You know, something like that. You know.
They do have the 1976 ABA finals. They have that there.
That's fair.
The fact that they have to have, and then of course at 2021 Nets Bucks game 5, they lose the series. They have nothing on there that shows them clinching a series. Like, to me, that Pacer game or the Celtic game has to be there. And I think for any true Net fan that sees this list, it's an embarrassment. Yeah, it actually bothered me to have a game they win, but they lose the series, still annoying because I'm going to watch that game and it's just going to make me think of a loss. I'm going to watch that game 5 on replay and all I'm going to think about is game 7.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to think about. I'm not going to be thinking about, oh, Durant had a great performance there. I know what happened. Even against the Spurs in the finals, I know what happened.
Right.
They win game 4, but they lose games 5 and 6. It's just it's a big tease reminder of how they failed. And then to put a loss. What?
Yeah, it's one thing if it's a Knicks day and they put the Starks dunk, which is such a famous play, even though they lost that series, went up 2-0 and then lost the next 4. It's to the Bulls, but at least that's like a famous play, and you want to see how that play unfolded and how it really like went. Everybody went crazy. Like, I can understand that, but like just some random game that they lost because somebody scored a lot of points is kind of strange, and it's kind of disrespectful to the Nets, and it kind of annoys me because there's a lot of great moments with like. You can have Jason Kidd and Kenyon Martin, just a random game when they were on their finals runs, or, you know, Richard Jefferson having a big game, just like a random something. Or like I said, Bernard King was a Net for a little while. And, you know, you can have something. I'm sure you had some big games that you can find something. You know, Buck Williams have a big game. You know, anybody, like go back, find something. They're trying to get Brooklyn into it, and that's the problem. Yeah. Maybe even a Kevin Garnett game, a Paul Pierce game, you know, something. Well, yes. You know what I mean?
That was the other reference, and this was some good points. So so just to say this, they have the 2003 Game 2 finals on there also, where they won in San Antonio.
Okay,
but to your point, a lot of people were like, okay, so you need a Brooklyn game,
right?
I get it if that's what you're doing. The game where they go to Toronto and win Game 7 in advance, like that's the game.
Yes,
that's the game that should be on there. That's they win the series, they move on. If you have to pick a Brooklyn game, at least Game 7 on the road, they win the series. That's there. Like, how is that not the game?
That was a moment for you. That was a moment. You know, that was an exciting moment. And like, you knew you weren't going to win a championship, but you had fun and you can dream and for a little bit. And you're like, okay, you know.
Well, you thought maybe you're going to win a title before the season. Obviously, they got old fast.
Well, Brook Lopez got hurt also. People forget about that. That Brook Lopez was really good then. And he break his foot and it was it. And then that whole starting 5 fell apart, you know, and they were old as fuck too. Don't get me wrong. But
it's crazy.
Brook Lopez was going to be the anchor of that team. He was going to be the anchor of that team. You know,
it's crazy how fast, or sorry, how long Brook Lopez has been in the NBA for a while. It's almost like you forget.
He changed his game. He was a back to the basket, right? And like guy and you know, grabbing boards.
Yeah. I mean, I think Kenny Atkinson is the one that taught him, but introduced him to the idea that you can shoot. And now, you know, Lopez is probably taking 4 or 5 threes a game in Milwaukee. I don't know exactly, but you know, his first X years with the Nets, he took like 7 threes or 3 threes in 7 years. And then all of a sudden it just blew up,
right?
You know, and then Nets traded him to LA, got D'Angelo Russell, and the way we go. The way we go with the Nets. But yeah, I'll be curious to see when the Knicks come out, and I'm sure, you know, I'll say this: there better be a Knicks loss on that list.
That's good. Yeah,
there better be a Knicks game. There better be a loss on that list. There better be like I'm trying to
There'll
think.
be a win, but a loss of the series. They're going to put the dunk. They're going to put the 4-point play. They won that series at least. The dunk,
Yeah.
4-point play, easy 90s. Maybe a Patrick Ewing big time play.
Winning the
moment.
championship.
Yeah, or 94 getting to the finals. Yeah, Knicks winning the championship with Clyde. A
Gotta
lot of
have
those
the
games are on
title.
tape delay. I don't know if they, go there. And the Willis Reed game obviously will be there when hit 2 jump shots and then Clyde took over with like an insane game. And
All right.
there you go. But whatever.
Oh,
What do you think about the Giants? Are you happy?
no, well, I had one more
Are you
Nets
confident?
question. Yes, I'm happy. What are your Mount Rushmore of Nick games post title
In my lifetime or just post
in your
title?
lifetime? We'll do in your lifetime. Your Mount Rushmore,
Okay.
which for those listening will be are unsure will be 4.
So I'm 38 years old. So you can't talk about the 80s because I don't remember. I was too young. So
your
the Bernard
games.
King games versus the Celtics and things like that, like I can't comment on those because I wasn't around. My Mount Rushmore games was Stark's dunk, Knicks going to the finals in '94 is probably the number one. The LJ 4-point play, after Ewing goes down and you think it's over, and then they go on a run to beat the Pacers, end up losing in the finals because of whatever. Let's see. So number 4, that's a tough one because I want to go, the Allen Houston shot to beat the Heat. Yeah. And so it's all 90s because anything after that, I mean, the David Lee tip in, it was fun, but those teams were trash. That'll probably be on a daytime thing, or the Steve Francis play when Channing Frye on this podcast told us that he was drunk as hell the whole night before in the day because they were in DC, and then he hits the game-winning shot.
Just 4 games here, Alex.
I'm trying to think of things after 2000 or 1999, and it's really hard to break that list. The only one would be the game behind me is when they beat the Hawks because of that series was just so fun, or the Melo year when they but that was also frustrating because they beat the Celtics, but they should have beat them in less games, but the J.R. Smith elbow, so it kind of tainted that series went a little bit. It's just like, oh fuck, we kind of fucked ourselves and ruined our shit for the next round. And I think those 4. So the Ewing, the Knicks going to the finals 94, Stark's dunk, LJ 4-point play, and the Houston game winner in Game 5 in Miami. So that's those 4, and it's all before 1999, 1999 and back.
Yep. Yeah. Beautiful. So, yes, I'm happy with the Giants. I'll do a Mount Rushmore of Nets next episode. We'll give a little tease there.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm very happy with the Giants. It was an incredible comeback victory. It was thrilling, exciting.
They came back from a 60-0 run on the season.
I mean, just ridiculous how they were looking that bad, and then a flip switched, and it was all Daniel Jones. He really changed everything in that game, and he played like an elite quarterback. I mean, he was amazing.
Right.
Not enough credit to the O-line. He had time. He finally had some time to deliver in the pocket and throw passes down the field. Because
when did they lose Barkley? Sorry.
They lost Barkley at the very, very end of the game. I mean,
okay.
I'm trying to remember now.
I watched the Jets.
It was the second to last play of the game because Matt Breida had the final run, and I was nervous because he was not had any carries. And then they're like, "Come in and don't fuck up." I was almost at that point going, "Just tell Daniel Jones to get in the center of the field, lose 2 yards, take a knee." But Giants ran right. Breida had 4 or 5 yards, and they got even better field goal position. But it was at the very, very end of the game for Saquon. Daniel Jones was awesome. He was hitting his intended targets. He was running when he had to, and the pocket and the play kind of had nothing down the field. He was great. And, he's the reason they won that game. And they go into San Francisco, which is crazy, in a couple of nights. It's like the game's already here. No Saquon. And it's amazing, too, like in the past when Barkley got hurt, everybody was devastated. But I think proving to the idea of why you don't give a running back this massive contract is week 2, Saquon's already hurt. And are people upset? Yeah, because he helps that offense so much. I mean, he's a huge part of it. But it's not everything. It's not Daniel Jones. It's Daniel Jones' team. And I think it'll be 3 weeks, 4 weeks. He'll be back. We'll hold on, but it's all about Daniel Jones, and what he did on Sunday in that second half was an incredible performance.
Yeah, and it's also, a lot of people look at it as like, how can you go to San Francisco on a short week? But they were in Arizona, and they're obviously going right to San Francisco, and so they're staying on the West Coast time, and they're not going to go back to New York or New Jersey and then go back to San Francisco.
That'd be silly.
So, and the 49ers are the best team in football, like by far the most talented team in football, and it's not even close in my opinion. So I mean, it's close with the Eagles and some other teams and the Chiefs, whatever. But like
Cowboys.
the 49ers are just Cowboys. I mean, whatever. But like the 49ers are fucking loaded. They're like an all-star team on defense and on offense, and with Purdy like looking legit. Like they're
great.
That's why it was such a big win for the Giants, because it's clearly, house money now for game three in San Francisco, where it's like, or Santa Clara, they're probably going to lose. But if you win without Barkley, now the Giants fans have turned their entire season around, going from losing, 60-0, 60-0 run to now we're 2-1 after beating the 49ers. Like, holy fuck.
And I understand this mentality from Giant fans of it's a short week, I expect the loss. Like, that's such crap. I'm sorry, you're gonna go then don't fucking watch the game. I'm sorry.
That's true.
This is not the NBA, right? Where it's like you're going on the road and you're sitting all three of your superstars, and guys are playing that have no chance. I'm like, all right, they're gonna lose this game. I understand they're not favored, and I understand it's a short week for San Francisco too. I don't understand this whole idea. Well, it's a short week for the Giants. Well, did the Niners not play on Sunday? Did they not just have a hard-fought game where they beat the Rams by 7, which is a whole story? It's a short week for them too, and I understand they're loaded and talented, but I hate this mindset from the fans of, well, we got that win. Now if we lose, we just got to get that Seahawks game. If the team had the same mindset as the fans would be yelling at the team. So fans, stop thinking like that. That's not how you want the team to think. You want Brian Dable going into coaching on Thursday night being like, let's go down live to Brian Dable. Yeah, I mean, we got that win on Sunday versus Arizona, so we understand that we're playing with house money. No. Fucking fire the guy. I'm coming in here. We're trying to win a fucking football game, and we're going to go to 2-1 and then see Seattle. No. Stop with the loser mentality like this. You're going to win. You're going to San Francisco to win.
And you were a playoff team last year too. Like, have some confidence. I know what you're saying. And Matt Breida has been around the block. He's not a rookie. Like he also played
with the losses
49ers.
already. You haven't played. You wouldn't want your team to have that mindset.
Right.
I hate the hypocrisy,
get it.
But it's hypocrisy.
Yeah. It's true. It's coping. It's saying like we're not supposed to. So you can say like, well, we weren't supposed to win anyway. It's just like, well, now you're 1-2, and you're still behind the 8 ball. So
yeah, I'm glad you got the Arizona win. Yeah, and then the Jets. Nothing new. Zach Wilson sucks.
It's the same team as last year now. The players are complaining on social media, and Zach Wilson stinks, and Breece Hall getting 4 carries one of the halves is ridiculous. Garrett Wilson should get 10 to 15 targets a game. He's a Hall of Fame caliber player, and yes, I don't say that lightly. Like, he legitimately could be the best wide receiver in football soon. And if he ever got a quarterback, I know he had Rodgers, but you know how that worked out. And Zach Wilson they coddle him because he stinks. And so they hold him back as much as they can because they know he stinks. So his stats look okay for 3/4 of the game. Then when they have to throw the ball, he throws 3 picks. You know what I mean? It's just, and you can blame the offensive line all you want. It doesn't matter. Like, the guy stinks. You know what I mean? And you got to bring a vet in here. And I knew the Jets weren't serious about bringing in a veteran backup, somebody to challenge Zach Wilson, when I saw they were working out Rippin. And it's just like, this is not his dad from the Super Bowl MVP of the Washington Redskins. This is like, this guy stinks. Well, so like they didn't sign him, but it's just like, come on, bring in a Wentz, bring in a Matt Ryan, bring in somebody that can win a couple games here and give the rest of the team a chance, because just because he was the number 2 pick doesn't mean that you have to waste another season of our lives and their lives. And if this goes out of control, the Jets can literally, I keep saying the Jets can literally be, a 5-win team. You know what I mean?
I'd be concerned
because they're
too,
awesome.
Alex.
Yeah.
Because the defense was bad. I mean, the defense was not good versus Dallas. I mean,
they weren't.
Bad.
They weren't. But you know what? Like, they were on the field so much that, like, they gave up that early drive, but like that happens. And it's just, They got no first downs the whole first quarter or first half, but like they had a fake punt and like it was something like that, and like they had that touchdown, like but that was a 78-yard touchdown to Garrett Wilson, so the defense is right back on the field. It's like they had no rest. It's eventually you're gonna get beat down, especially on the road.
I hear you, but if this defense is, I mean, Jets fans have hyped up how good the defense is,
It is,
and then
that's fair.
You say it happens, but the first drive, if you're elite and you have an average to bad quarterback, I'm being nice. You got to get them off the field. Dallas elects to take the ball first. Here's an opportunity where you play some defense, get them off the field, get Zach on there. It's 0-0 and away we go. That's a tone setter. But if you're going to have that kind of defense,
and
I don't
dropped
want
the pick six also, man. That's on him because
yes,
they were down
10-0.
And
changes
then
the whole view.
Right. You get the touchdown, or it's 11, I don't know, whatever it was. You just scored your touchdown, and then he drops a pick six, and then you could just by the snap of your fingers, now you're winning, and then you're just like, holy shit, like now we're in this thing. You know what I mean?
Yes. And momentum is so big in football that I would
especially
say,
when you're on the road.
I think if he gets that interception, doesn't mean the Jets win, of course not, but it gives him a hell of a lot better chance, and it changes the whole complexion of how Zach Wilson is handled in the game. And I say that and being honest, but it's just he's not good, so that's how they have to play it. So it's a combination of things. Defense has to be better, and I'm not going to say I'm done with the 85 Bears references.
Oh yeah, no, it was a joke.
I'm going to go. We're going to go the 2007 Giants. You don't got that 2007 Giants defensive line out there.
How about the 2010 Jets with the Rex Ryan Jets? Can we do that first to get to the back-to-back games, championship games? But and Sauce wasn't getting burned by CeeDee Lamb, who had a great game. He was only covered by him once. One catch, was covered, when he was covered by him. Can we make Sauce, if he's this Revis caliber player, make him on an island with Sauce? Let's do that, because that's what made Rex's defenses so great, is that he said, Revis, go get Ocho Cinco, go get Megatron, go get whoever the best player on that team is, and stare him down before the game and get in his head and be that guy and blanket him.
At least try.
And then the quarterback doesn't look at him, and try it and see what happens. Don't be Richard Sherman where you're covering one side of the field, because then you can't be on the level of a Revis or a Deion Sanders. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not. So that's what bothers me, and it's hard because Zach stinks and defenses don't have any credit for him, so they stack the box, and then your great running backs with Hall it looks like he could be a star, and Dalvin Cook is a star, and they get nothing because the defense is like, we don't respect this guy. You might hit one big touchdown to Garrett Wilson on a slant, but other than that, you're not doing anything, and we're not going to give up. We're let you have fun. Throw it downfield, throw it over Diggs, go do that. You know what I mean? So
tough spot.
It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough.
We need a Patriots win versus the Jets, and just not that I hate the Jets, but now I'm just having fun with it.
It's been 10 years, but at the same time, it's like I saw Jets fans on Twitter. This is the last thing on this, saying like, oh, if we beat the Patriots, we're in a good spot. We're 2-1. Like, you're still not in a good spot because the Patriots suck. Like, you know what I mean? You're 2-1 and you still have Zach Wilson. You got to play the Chiefs. You know what I'm saying? Like, this season is not going to be great just because you're 2-1. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean anything.
That's the thing. And you compare it to the Giants with, they're going to San Francisco. They lose. It's house money. It's the opposite for the Jets. The Patriots are 0-2. They have not won a game yet. Now, they've been in both games. They've made themselves relevant. They got close to Miami. They were in there. They only lost by a touchdown after being down 2 scores going into the second half. So they made it a good game. Week 1, losing by 5 points or whatever it was. They've been competitive. But for the Jets, if they lose to an 0-2 Patriots team, that'll be bad news.
This can spiral quickly.
Sports Talk Radio dream right there, man.
Yeah. It's either you want them to be either really good or embarrassingly bad. You know what I mean? And that's for Sports Talk Radio.
I think let me put it this way, for people, I don't know how to phrase this. I don't think all Sports Talk Radio hosts feel that way. I think there's some that are actually passionate about their team winning, but if you're looking for just clicks, yes.
Yeah, it's going to be tough because, like I said it before when Rodgers went down, last thing, like I said it before, Peyton Manning's Colts won Super Bowls. They won 12 plus games a year. And that's not an exaggeration. They always flopped in the playoffs, and a lot of times they won, and sometimes they won a Super Bowl and whatever. But they lost Peyton. They had no backup. They brought in Kerry Collins off the street, and then they sucked for luck, and everybody got fired. Like, that could happen here if the Jets literally win 2 games or 3 games this year, which is not impossible with Zach Wilson, and they're married to him. This thing could just disappear. And Rodgers is 40 years old. Like, I don't know why we're obsessed with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
Well, he wants to come back, and I respect it.
You have to let him back.
Yeah, and he said even
him.
hurt. He said all the right things. Even hurt, he's been. He knows I'm going to prove people wrong, and
I'll be back in January. The magic Achilles, and okay.
Yeah, well, that I think would be a stretch, but yeah, he's your favorite Jet quarterback to never complete a pass. Fair.
I think so. I think that's
at least for now.
At
least for now.
I can name some random Jets, but I won't do that. Nobody cares.
All right. This has been episode 187 of Bad Weather Fans. Of course, if you're listening, give us 5 stars. As I mentioned before, leave us a comment, and we want to get to that 200-star mark here on Bad Weather Fans. And if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead, give the like, tell people, subscribe, share the wealth, share the vibes. We really do appreciate all of that. We want to thank all our guests that have come on this show. We've had an awesome list from Tracy McGrady, Kerry Kittles, Richard Jefferson, Chris Childs, Mike Schneid. I mean, the list goes on and on. We really appreciate everybody that has been here for this show. Alex, enjoy the rest of your week. Once I hit stop on this, Damian Lillard will be traded, and we'll talk to you later, man.
Thank you.
You're welcome.